And so he opened her door and he went in. And what he saw in that room made him forget his pain in an instant. In a small village on the borders of England and Wales, there once lived an old man, and he needed a housekeeper. But there was a problem. He was such a grumpy old man, no one would work for him. Many of the women had tried and lasted no more than a day. He thought he was funny, but he wasn't. He had a wicked tongue, and he would follow these women from room to room as they tried to do their work, making jokes, comments, remarks, sarcastic little jibes. And now none of the women would work for him, no matter how much money he was offering to pay. But one night he was sitting in front of the fire when there came a knocking at the front door, and when he answered it, there was an old woman standing on the doorstep with her bags. She was a stranger. He'd never seen her before. She wasn't from the village, and she said she was looking for work as a housekeeper. She was a widow. And as she was saying these things, she could see his nose wrinkling as he looked her up and down, and she said, "Yes, I know I'm old. And I know that I'm not very attractive, but I am a very good housekeeper, and I am a superb cook if I say so myself. And I really need somewhere to work and live. Oh, come on, please give me a chance. You can still get good wool off an old sheep, you know." And the old man couldn't argue with logic like that, so he invited her in. And she began work the very next morning. And the old man thought he had died and gone to heaven, because not only was she a wonderful housekeeper and a superb cook, but she was ugly as sin. And this gave him endless scope for his tongue. Oh, he was merciless. He followed her round and round the house, giving her a right old ear-bashing. But strangely enough, this old widow woman took it in very good grace, and she would smile at him, and sometimes she would say something in reply, but mostly she would just get on with her cleaning and her baking. And a day went by, and another, and the old man started to feel tired. He just couldn't rile this old woman. She was like a wily old trout at the bottom of a pool. He just couldn't get her to rise to the bait. It was hard work, and it was getting him nowhere. And so, in the end, he gave up. He started to become a little kinder, a little more courteous. And even the women in the village noticed this, and on market day, with a nudge and the wink, they all said, "Oh, that old widow woman, she's working wonders on him." Late one night, the old man was in bed, trying to sleep. Oh, but he couldn't. He had appalling stomach pains, and he knew why. It was his own fault. The widow had made a delicious treacle pudding for supper, and he had had 3 helpings with extra custard, and now, Bayek, he was paying for it. But still, he seemed to think it was the widow's fault. So he called for her to come and do something. But she didn't come. So he called for her again, louder now. But still, she didn't come. So he reached down, he took his boot, he banged it on the wall between their bedrooms. Still, she didn't come. So, getting really irritated now, he climbed out of bed, went onto the landing, and he hammered on her bedroom door. And still, she didn't come. And so he opened her door and he went in. And what he saw in that room made him forget his pain in an instant. The old woman was in bed, fast asleep. There was a light, a candle, burning on a low bedside table. He went closer. He looked down at this table, and there, in the glow of the candlelight, he saw a pair of ears. Wooden ears, beautiful things, carved out of the palest willow wood. And he looked down at the widow to see what she had for ears, and she didn't have anything. Where the hole should have been, there was just tight, shiny skin, and there was a little twisted lump of flesh. But looking down at the widow, in the glow of that candle, she was all tucked up and warm and cosy. She had a smile on her face. She looked like a woman who was truly at peace with the world. So he didn't wake her up. He just went back to bed. But the next morning, he couldn't wait to talk to her. He was downstairs. She was in the kitchen. She was busy making breakfast, and he said, "Oi, last night I was in your bedroom. What's happened to your ears?" And the old woman took it with the same good grace. She took everything. And she told him that her ears had been burned off in a house fire, and it was her late husband who had made those ones out of willow wood for her. And the old man said, "But I don't understand. You can hear me. We have conversations." And she said, "No, I can't hear you. I'm quite deaf. But it hasn't affected my speech. And I can lip read very well, you know, and I've been like this for years. I'm used to it. I don't mind it, really, being deaf. It means I don't have to listen to things I don't want to hear." And the old man said, "Like what? What can you possibly not want to hear?" And she said, "Well, for starters, I don't like gossip. And the women in this village are dreadful gossips, and they always want to tell me about you. And I don't want to hear that. I want to make up my own mind. And I think you're a good man. I think you've got a big warm heart." And with that she turned to the stove and she brought out a tray of bread rolls, all soft and warm and floury. And the old man realised she must have been up at the crack of dawn to make those rolls for his breakfast, just how he liked them. And that was how she did everything, with a little bit of love and care. And looking around the kitchen, he could see there were flowers on the window ledge, and the kettle was always warm, and there were usually scones. She had turned his house into a home. And before he knew what he was doing, he was getting down on one arthritic knee, and he was asking her to marry him, and she was saying yes. And so they were married there in the village church, and he was 86 and she was 84. But the people said they had never seen a lovelier bride, nor a more willing bridegroom. And after the service they all went back to the village hall and had tea. And when that was over, the old man took his new wife by the hand, and side by side they walked up the high street back to their cottage, went up the stairs and into the bedroom. And she took off her ears, and he took out his teeth, and they climbed into bed and blew out the candle. And there in the dark, the old woman couldn't hear her sighs of pleasure, nor her husband's, but she could feel his hands softly stroking the skin on her arms, and she could feel him gently lifting the hair from her neck and kissing her. And there in the dark, deep in her heart, she heard his words of love.